King Review Print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast, recorded at the Bishop Briggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QNReview. That is @ CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@QNreview.com. That is INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 6th of March, from the news section. Drug bust led to major incident at Glasgow property. Report by Ben Waddell. A drug bust led to a major incident in Glasgow after police discovered potentially hazardous materials. Officers executed a drug search warrant at a property in Bargarin Road in Pollock on Wednesday, March the 5th at around 3 p.m. Following that, other emergency services, including paramedics and firefighters, were called to the locus. Cops alerted the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, SFRS, and the Scottish Ambulance Service, SAS, to the scene after potentially hazardous materials were found within the address. The force has since revealed there was no wider threat to the public. An investigation into the drug bust is ongoing. A spokesperson for Police Scotland said, around 3 p.m. on Wednesday, March the 5th, 2025, officers executed a drug search warrant at a property in Bargarin Road, Glasgow. Emergency services attended in connection with potentially hazardous material found within. There was no wider threat to the public. Inquiries are ongoing. A spokesperson for SFRS added, we were requested at 5:22 p.m. on Wednesday, March the 5th, to assist our emergency service partners in the Pollock area of Glasgow. Operations Control mobilised 3 appliances to the city's Bargarin Road, where firefighters assisted their partners before leaving the area as of 7:16 p.m. An SAS spokesperson said, we received a call at 5:29 p.m. on Wednesday, March the 5th, to attend an incident on Bargarin Road, Glasgow. We dispatched 1 Special Operations Resource Team, SORT, to the scene. And that report was by Ben Waddell. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 6th of March, from the news section. Paisley Police Office visited by Harm Reduction Response Team. Report by Aidan MacDonald. Renfrewshire Harm Reduction Response Team have visited Paisley Police Office. The group spoke to frontline officers about the service they provide to help prevent people from experiencing harms related to their alcohol and drug use on Tuesday, March 4th. They aim to connect with people who are not in treatment or who find it difficult to stay in treatment. Support available. Providing confidentiality and anonymity. We can come to a location near you, or you can attend the van at one of our scheduled areas in our timetable. Free supply and disposal of injecting equipment and foil. Harm reduction advice in relation to drugs and or alcohol. Safer injecting techniques including vein scanning. Dry blood spot testing for blood-borne viruses. Wound care. Naloxone training and supply. Overdose awareness and support following overdose. Free supply of condoms and lubricant. Onward referral and or signposting to other services where required. And that report was written by Aidan MacDonald and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 6th of March, from the news section. Police raced to Glasgow Street after man kicked off bus. Report by Ben Waddell. Police raced to a Glasgow street after a man was kicked off a bus following an incident. Officers received a report of voyeurism in the Jamaica Street area of the city centre shortly after 9 p.m. on Wednesday, March the 5th. First Bus has since confirmed the disturbing incident occurred on one of its Service 57 buses. The travel operator said a man was removed from the bus and cops were then called. Police have since revealed that an investigation into the incident is underway. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, "Around 9:10 p.m. on Wednesday, March the 5th, 2025, we received a report of voyeurism in the Jamaica Street area of Glasgow. Officers attended and inquiries are ongoing to establish the full circumstances." A First Bus spokesperson said, "We can confirm an incident occurred on one of our Service 57 buses on Jamaica Street last night at around 9 p.m. A male passenger was removed from the bus and the police were called. We'd like to apologise for any inconvenience caused to our passengers." And that article was written by Ben Waddell and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 6th of March, from the news section, probe to begin after man died in notorious Scottish jail. Article written by Ben Waddell. A probe is set to begin after a man died in a prison cell at a notorious Scottish jail. The Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service, COPFS, has lodged a first notice to begin the court process for a fatal accident inquiry, FAI, into the death of James Stevenson. The 36-year-old passed away on Monday, October the 11th, 2021 at HMP Shotts in Lanarkshire. During the time of his death, Stevenson was in legal custody and in the care of the state. Due to this, the COPFS is obliged to investigate such deaths and an FAI is mandatory. A preliminary hearing will be held on April the 2nd, 2025 at Hamilton Sheriff Court. The purpose of an FAI includes determining the cause of death, the circumstances in which the deaths occurred and establishing what, if any, reasonable precautions could have been taken and could be implemented in the future to minimise the risk of future deaths in similar circumstances. Unlike criminal proceedings, FAIs are inquisitorial and are used to establish facts rather than to apportion blame. Procurator Fiscal Andy Shanks, who leads death investigations for COPFS, said, "The Lord Advocate considers that the death of James Stevenson occurred while in legal custody and as such a fatal accident inquiry is mandatory. The lodging of the first notice enables FAI proceedings to commence under the direction of the Sheriff." And that report was written by Ben Waddell and read by Ian. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 6th of March, from the news section, Robbie Williams invites Glasgow singer to join him on stage. Report by Amy Miles. Robbie Williams has invited Glasgow singer Michelle McManus to join him on stage. The pop superstar surprised Michelle with the offer at the end of her BBC interview on March 6th. The invitation left Michelle emotional as she questioned whether Robbie was joking. Listeners could hear the Glaswegian start to tear up before eventually accepting the offer to perform at Murrayfield Stadium in May. The question came at the end of the interview when Michelle was thanking her radio guest. Robbie interrupted her by saying he had to ask her a question. He followed up by saying, "Would you like to come and sing with me in Edinburgh?" Michelle answered, "Well, sorry, what? What was that?" The singer repeated the question, and they decided to figure out what song they would sing later. Michelle said, "Robbie, that would be incredible, but I really don't know what to say right now because that's just too much." The superstar urged her to just say yes, with Michelle finally saying, "Yes, I'm saying yes, I would love that. You're amazing, and you're an incredible human being, and I meant every word of that before this event even came up." This isn't the first time the two have spoken, with both appearing in a BBC documentary and maintaining a friendship and support for each other. Michelle said in the documentary that the two first met after she won Pop Idol in 2003. She admitted that they first met due to Lisa Armstrong, at McParlane's ex-wife, inviting her to stay with them instead of a hotel. It was at their house that she met the She's the One singer, as he would chat to her over tea whilst Lisa did her makeup. She said, For some reason, Robbie Williams was there a lot, and he'd pull up a chair and have a cup of tea while I was getting my makeup done. He showed me kindness at a time when I really needed it. I knew him for a few weeks and then he disappeared out of my life. Then, in 2022, the Baillieston-born singer got to rekindle her friendship with Robbie backstage after he performed a gig in Glasgow. It was after that Michelle was invited to take part in the documentary. And that report was by Amy Miles. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 6th of March, from the news section. Second Renfrewshire Tory councillor defects to Reform UK. Report by Aidan MacDonald. A second councillor in Renfrewshire has defected from the Scottish Conservatives to join the Reform UK party. Councillor John Gray, who was first elected in May 2022, represents Renfrew North and Braehead. South Lanarkshire councillor Ross Lambie has also joined Reform UK as part of the move. It comes after councillor Alec Leishman, who represents Erskine and Shannon, became Reform UK's first representative at Renfrewshire Council last month. A Scottish Conservative spokesperson said, "We are focused on reaching out to voters who are disillusioned with all parties and all politicians. We understand that people are sick and tired of the SNP, Labour and the left-wing parties at Holyrood fixating on fringe issues like gender self-identification rather than the key issues that matter most to their lives, such as reducing NHS waiting lists and raising school standards. The Scottish Conservatives will continue holding the failing SNP government to account and represent everyone who has lost trust in politics." Councillor Gray has been contacted for comment. Article written by Aidan MacDonald.
This is from the Glasgow Times on Friday 7th March 2025 from the news section. Dolly Parton Partnership sends Scottish kids 40,000 books. By Beth Oliver. Nearly 2,000 children in Scotland have been helped to read by a partnership between a housing group and a music legend. Wheatley Foundation, part of the Wheatley Group, has distributed more than 40,000 books to 1,861 children under 5 in its communities, thanks to Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. The foundation has partnered with the charity set up by the country music star since 2016. Each month, children under 5 from registered social landlords within Wheatley Group in Glasgow, Edinburgh and Dumfries and Galloway receive free books. This includes 24,367 books to 1,166 children living in Wheatley Homes Glasgow homes. Anna Gray-Johnson, a Wheatley Homes Glasgow tenant, is thrilled that her 14-month-old son, Jason Ahmed, is receiving the books. She said, "He's only just started receiving them and he loves it and carries a book around with him. I'm so happy he's receiving the books and I look forward to reading the new books to Jason every month. It'll be nice to have a good variety and to alternate between books." Professor Paddy Gray, OBE, chair of the Wheatley Foundation, said, "This is a fantastic project and we are so happy to continue being a part of it. It's important to get babies and toddlers interested in books and reading from the very beginning. It's a great way for parents to bond with their children and teach them about the world, their culture and the culture of others." He added, Wheatley Foundation signed up to the Imagination Library in 2016, and it's astounding how many children we've helped distribute books to. And it's not just the youngsters who love the books. Feedback from parents is always so positive. They get a lot of enjoyment out of reading the books to their children. To be eligible for these books, children must be aged up to 5 and live in a Wheatley Homes social housing property. The Imagination Library project was set up by Dolly Parton in 1995 as a tribute to her father and to encourage a love of reading in children. It distributes 2 million books to under 5s in 5 countries, including the UK. That article was by Beth Oliver. This is from the Glasgow Times on Friday, 7th March 2025. From the News section. Pensions. New warning to women who risk running out of money. By Joshua Searle. Women have been issued a pension warning as new research revealed they risk emptying their pension pots 14 years too soon. The research, released ahead of International Women's Day, Saturday, March 8th, indicated that, based on current pension withdrawal rates, women could empty their private pension savings by the age of 73. Legal and General, L&G, which published the research, said that with the average life expectancy of a 60-year-old woman in the UK sitting at 67, some female retirees could be left with a 14-year shortfall between their private pension funds running out and the end of their lives. By comparison, men could see their pots run dry by the age of 83, the research indicated. With the average life expectancy of a 60-year-old man in the UK at 85, men could have 2 years of retirement without any leftover private pension savings. Catherine Fortieu, Managing Director of Workplace Savings at L&G, said that after decades of saving, the ability to withdraw money from a pension can create a lottery effect. But, she cautioned, what seems like financial freedom now might turn into uncertainty later. The modelling used for Office of National Statistics life expectancy calculations, as well as an opinion survey among 3,000 people aged over 50, carried out in December 2024. The calculations made various assumptions about inflation and investment returns, and that people would start making regular withdrawals when they turned 67 until their private pension pot ran out. It was also assumed that people had no other sources of income, such as property wealth or a guaranteed pension income based on someone's salary. People will also be entitled to the state pension, the size of which depends on factors such as national insurance contributions. The research indicated that women are typically withdrawing less from their pension than men, but have less money saved into it to start with, at £40,000 versus £87,500 for men. Of those receiving income from an income drawdown pension, women are receiving £625 per month on average, compared with £875 for men. However, women were more likely than men to have increased their withdrawal rate since they first started making withdrawals. More than a quarter, 27% of women making withdrawals had increased their withdrawal rate compared with less than a fifth, 19% of men. The research was released as a survey of 2,000 people for savings and investment app Moneybox, which found that nearly 1 in 10 women plan to start investing this year, while 13% intend to increase their investments. Investing more was found to be the top financial goal among women aged 25 to 34 years old, the survey by one poll found. More than half, 59% of women who invested last year, did so to grow wealth. 47% wanted to secure a comfortable retirement, and 34% were aiming to provide for family in future. Nearly a fifth, 18% of women who invested, did so because they enjoyed it and treated it like a hobby. London and Northern Ireland had the highest rates of female first-time investors last year, the Moneybox research indicated. Lower part-time salaries and caring responsibilities can be obstacles to some women and some men being able to save adequately for later life. Another study from money platform Intuit Credit Karma found that over half, 59% of parents have taken on new debt to afford maternity or shared paternal leave, borrowing an average of £2,658. A quarter of these parents said they were still in debt when their child had started school. Women were less likely than men taking parental leave to say that they had moved to a job with enhanced parental benefits. A fifth, 21% of men taking shared parental leave, had switched jobs to an employer offering enhanced benefits, compared with 9% of women taking maternity leave, the one poll survey of 2,000 people across the UK found. Akansha Nath, General Manager International at Intuit Credit Karma, said, "Setting aside savings where possible and carefully budgeting for your reduced income and unexpected expenses can help alleviate financial strain." That article was by Joshua Searle.
From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 8th of March, from the news section, Council tax increase agreed. East Northamptonshire Council has approved its revenue and capital budgets for 2025-2026, amounting to £379.127 million. This budget will cover essential local services and significant investments across the area. The revenue budget, mainly funded by the Scottish Government, pays for the day-to-day running of the East Northamptonshire Council, with approximately 23% coming from council tax. To bridge a £23.946 million budget gap and ensure a balanced budget, a 13% increase in council tax was agreed upon. This increase includes 2.75% for the unfunded element of employers' national insurance and 2.1% for the delivery of the new Balmildy Primary School. The 2025-2026 Revenue Budget and Capital Programme will maintain key local services and invest in vital infrastructure such as progressing designs for Westerton Primary School and constructing Balmildy Primary School. Councillor Leader Gordon Lowe said, "We continue to face increasing demand for our services while the cost of delivering these continues to escalate. Local government is facing incredibly difficult financial pressures, which makes setting a budget extremely challenging. Further budget decisions to bridge the funding gap include a range of management and operational efficiencies, which will save millions." Mr Lowe added, "The work undertaken by council officers to deliver every possible cost reduction, right across the organisation, to reduce our revenue spend without impacting on the service delivery is to be commended. The financial efficiencies to balance the 2025-26 budget contain a combination of measures, including proposals and actions by the Chief Executive and Chief Finance Officer across the Council and HSCP services, to deliver over £5.6 million in efficiencies. The council tax increase of 13% will see an annual Band D charge rise from £1,415 per year to £1,599, an annual increase of almost £184. Almost 50% of the council's revenue budget is spent on education, with almost 20% on health and social care." The author of that article is unattributed. It was read by me, Ian. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 8th of March 2025, from the news section. Fundraiser for late Jers fan passes £100,000 mark. A GoFundMe was set up by those close to Christopher after he was tragically killed in a road traffic incident in Turkey. Report by Morgan Carmichael. A fundraiser which was set up after a Rangers fan tragically died abroad has surpassed £100,000 just one day after being set up. Christopher Potter made the journey to Turkey along with thousands of Jers fans to watch the Light Blues take on Fenerbahce in the Europa League. However, Christopher, who is believed to be from the East End of Glasgow, was tragically killed following a road traffic incident a day before the game. We previously reported that a GoFundMe was quickly set up by those close to Christopher in a bid to raise money for anything needed, like helping with funeral costs or supporting his family during this difficult time. The person behind the fundraiser wrote, "Hi, as everybody is aware, Christopher Potter was tragically killed while away watching his beloved Rangers. Let's try and get some money together to help with any costs needed. His funeral, getting him home, or just to help his wife and kids. Let's dig deep. All donations will be greatly appreciated." The GoFundMe has now reached around £106,000 at the time of writing, with money pouring in for more than 3,000 donations. We revealed that some big names in the football industry, like Rangers captain James Tavernier, donated alongside Scottish national and former Premier League player Robert Snodgrass. Comedian Gary Falls also contributed a generous £250. It also came to light today that the Glasgow businessman Andy Smiley donated an enormous £10,000 to the cause. It comes after the Bristol bar on Duke Street paid tribute to Christopher, who they hailed as a lovely guy. Posting on Facebook, the Jers drinking spot revealed it was with great sadness they learned of the passing of Christopher, who was one of their favourite regular customers, a local lad and a great friend of the venue. The bar described him as being one in a million and a lovely guy who always brought a smile to everyone's face. The bar said, "It's with great sadness that we learned of the passing of one of our favourite regular customers, a local lad and great friend of us all at the Bristol bar. Christopher Potter was one in a million, a lovely guy who always brought a smile to everyone's face. We are so sorry to hear he passed away last night while out in Turkey to watch the match. He will be sorely missed by us all. Our thoughts are with his lovely wife, his kids and all his family at this sad time. Potter was and always will be a Bristol bar legend. Rest easy, buddy." Breaking the sad news on Thursday morning, a Rangers spokesperson said, "We are devastated to have learned of the passing of one of our supporters in a road traffic accident overnight in Istanbul. The immediate thoughts of everyone at the club are with their family and friends at this incredibly difficult time. We are remaining in constant contact with both the Turkish and British authorities over this tragic incident." A spokesperson for Fenerbahce added, "We extend our deepest condolences to Rangers FC and the entire Rangers community. We are deeply saddened to receive the heartbreaking news that a Rangers FC supporter, who travelled to Istanbul to support his team in the first leg of the UEFA Europa League round of 16 against our club Fenerbahce, has tragically lost his life in a traffic accident. Our heartfelt sympathies and condolences go out to his family, Rangers FC and their community, Fenerbahce Sports Club." An article was written by Morgan Carmichael and read by me, Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 8th of March 2025, from the news section. New £1 billion jail claims annoyed Bar El governor. Prison chief dismisses leisure centre remarks about HMP Glasgow. This article is an exclusive by Esther Tarnay. Barlin's governor has responded after Glasgow's new jail was branded a leisure centre. Conservative leader Russell Finlay previously clashed with John Swinney at First Minister's Questions and said the government had perverse priorities, funding a facility with communities living together, supporting each other. Bar El boss Michael Stoney spoke to the Glasgow Times exclusively about the proposed new HMP Glasgow, which is designed to promote rehabilitation and good health. He said, "The things he mentioned, so arbitrarily, without knowledge, We're annoying because I've been involved in the design. Everything's been carefully thought through, and we have tried not to spend a penny needlessly. We reported earlier this week that he admitted the costs, just under £1 billion, are high, but explained that this is due to inflated construction fees. The Governor added, "Everything has utility, function and purpose, and there's nothing in there that's fanciful or fluffy. So it annoys me because I'm so emotionally invested in the design and the outcome of that design. He's wrong, and this prison will prove that. I'm confident we will deliver a custodial approach that's going to have a real impact. And we tried, as much as possible, to minimise the cost to the public." Mr. Stoney used foliage as an example of cost-effective planning. He continued, "I can assure people there's lots of greenery, but I'm growing it all here for very little money, and it will all be transferred over. For example, it would cost around £300 for a tree in 3 years' time for the size we need it. It costs about 20p just now. We are focused on reducing costs where we can and keeping the utility of the system. The 1,344 capacity facility is being built at the old Proven Gasworks site and is expected to be operational by 2028. Much of its innovation will lie within its design. 60 self-contained units of 22 with their own amenities. This layout will free up staff time and eliminate unnecessary movement, allowing employees to spend more time one-on-one with inmates, promoting well-being. Mr. Stoney believes all this would decrease reoffending, which is important, as Berlin currently houses nearly 1,400 men, way over capacity. He emphasised, however, that the justice system overall needs to be reformed to improve conditions. He explained, "We're hoping that, through justice policy, sentencing policy, different approaches and a whole range of initiatives, such as electronic monitoring or more effective community disposals, we reduce the need for prison use. Hopefully, projects such as the early release scheme will start to take effect, because that's what needs to be done. We've got the highest percentage of prisoners in Western Europe. Why is that? What do we need to do as a society to change that and not use prison so much? Being in prison for 40 years as a practitioner, we use prisons far too much and for far too many reasons. We should have capacity elsewhere, either through mental health or addiction support, which are far better suited and tailor-made." When asked about the calls to turn the old Victorian prison into a museum once it's empty, Mr. Stoney agreed that it could be an asset to the city. He said, "It would be nice, but I have no control over the decisions of what happens after the disposal of the site. It would be great if we had something like that, because it has been described as Scotland's Alcatraz, and I think the people in Glasgow would love to see some reference to that. I would like it." He also highlighted that prison employees are very much attached to the 143-year-old building, and it will be difficult to relocate them. The Governor added, "Everybody loves Barlinnie. There's a real close connection for the staff group to it. It's iconic, connected to the city, everybody knows it. It's comfortable. It's an environment that feels safer, and to move away will always be difficult." Talking about the Scottish Prison Service employees, Mr. Stoney said people don't aspire to work at a jail, they just end up here, like he did. He added, "We all fall into this by accident because we want to be part of something bigger, and we want to make a difference. It just happened to be the prison service for lots of us, but when you get here, you become part of a team. You see that you can make a difference in people's lives, and the impact you make on people." The Governor said his favourite part of the job is seeing the pride in staff's faces when they change someone's life. And that report was an exclusive by Esther Tarnay. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 8th of March 2025, from the news section. People urged to have say on new city bus strategy. People are being asked to have their say in a new bus strategy in the Strathclyde region. Strathclyde Partnership for Transport, SPT, has started its public consultation on the draft Strathclyde Regional Bus Strategy, SRBS. The draft strategy outlines the improvements needed to make the bus service more appealing to new users, and more reliable for those who depend on it. The ultimate goal is a cycle of growth with a bus network that delivers reliable and timely service, affordable fares and seamless integration. The strategy also aims to create an environmentally sustainable, resilient and adaptable bus network fleet. SPT has plans to implement bus franchising arrangements for the region. It plans to work directly with partners and within the existing voluntary partnerships to drive improvements in bus infrastructure and traffic management. The draft SRBS was approved for consultation by SPT's Strategy and Programmes Committee. Councillor Alan Moore, the chair of the committee, said, "The draft SRBF sets out what we need from bus in the future. That is a better coordinated and more recognisable network, with buses that are more frequent, more reliable, more affordable and easier to use. We need to do this with the support of all those collectively employed in the bus sector, fully harnessing all our strength to stabilise the market and deliver bus reform." The consultation is now open for 12 weeks, giving the community a chance to provide feedback. The aim is to make the bus service more accountable to the public and to ensure a commitment to delivering bus priority. Following the conclusion of the public consultation, SPT plans to present a final version of the strategy to SPT committee later this year. The author of that article is unattributed. It was read by Ian. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 8th of March, from the news section: Post Office to move site next month. Barmulloch Post Office is set to move to a new location next month. It will relocate to the Nisa local at 576 Broomfield Road, Glasgow, on Wednesday, April the 9th at 1 p.m. The new venue is larger and more modern, with better parking facilities, including dedicated disabled bays. The current branch at 20 Quarrywood Avenue will close on Monday, March 17th at 5 p.m. The postmaster, who will remain the same, is refurbishing the new premises to operate as both a post office and a convenience store. The new location will have 2 screened post office serving positions, providing the same range of services as before. Alternative branches for residents to use during the interim include Drumbotty Road Post Office at 28 Drumbotty Road and Proven Mill Post Office at 1238 Royston Road. The post office said the move came from the opportunity to relocate the branch into a larger space in a busier retail area, which could increase the retail offering. The postmaster believes the move will help secure continued local access to services and support the viability of the business. And the author of that article is unattributed. It was read by Ian. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 8th of March 2025, from the news section: Tributes for lovely man found dead in home. Police issue plea after discovery. Report by Ava White. Tributes have poured in for a lovely and helpful man who was found dead in a Glasgow property. Police responded to an address on Monard Street in Hamilton Hill at around 9:20am on Wednesday. Officers say they discovered the body of 55-year-old James Jarvis. His family has since been made aware and asked for privacy. Following the tragic discovery, tributes have flooded in across social media. One person said, "Oh my goodness, he helped so many people. Rest easy, Jim." A second added, "A real life warrior, what a loss." A third commented, "Can't believe this. Honestly, what a man that would help anyone." Another person said, "Thoughts and prayers for Jim and his family, such a lovely guy." Detectives have been carrying out extensive inquiries into James's death. A murder probe has now been launched and officers are currently working to establish James' last movements before he was found. Cops are appealing for anyone who saw anything to get in touch. They are also conducting investigations in Auckland Street, near the property where James was found, as a car belonging to him was discovered in the area shortly after 7am on Wednesday. Photographs taken on Friday show officers guarding a property in Moncur Street. Several police vehicles were also seen parked in the area. Detective Chief Inspector Graham McCready of Police Scotland's Major Investigation Team said, Our thoughts are with Mr. Jarvis's family at what is a very difficult time, and they have asked for their privacy to be respected. It is vital we find out answers for them and trace whoever is responsible as soon as possible. I am appealing to anyone with information who has not already spoken to officers to get in touch. If you have private CCTV or dashcam footage relating to Monner Street, Auckland Street and the surrounding area, please check to see if you could have captured anything that could assist with our inquiries. We are keen to speak to anyone who saw Mr. Jarvis's car, a black Volkswagen Golf, that was found in Auckland Street, and how it got there. This is a challenging investigation, and any piece of information, no matter how small or insignificant you might think it is, could prove vital, so I urge people to make contact with us. Anyone who can assist with our investigation is asked to contact Police Scotland on 101, quoting incident number 0638 of Wednesday, March the 5th, 2025, or make a call anonymously to Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. An online portal has also been set up where members of the public can submit information directly to detectives. And that report was written by Ava White.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 10th of March. Families of COVID-19 victims gather to mark 5 years since the pandemic. An article written by Mark McDougall. Families of victims of COVID-19 gathered in Glasgow Green on Sunday to mark 5 years since the start of the pandemic in 2020. COVID Family Scotland organised the day with guests including the First Minister John Swinney, who spoke to those in attendance. A minute's silence was held in memory of all those who lost their lives, while 5 doves were released to signify the 5 years since the outbreak of the virus in Scotland. Connie Macready founded COVID Family Scotland after her fiancé Jim Russell passed away on May the 4th, 2020, after 35 days in hospital. She formed the support group to help those who lost loved ones and said it was an opportunity to come together and remember and respect the lives that were lost and the struggles that people continue to face. Speaking at the occasion, she said, "Because we actually got to organise this, we've invited the people that mean most to us. My name is Connie Macready. I'm the founder of COVID Family Scotland. I lost my fiancé, Jim Russell, aged 51, to COVID on the 4th of May 2020, after 35 days in hospital. I formed a support group for myself and for others who had lost loved ones in 2020. We come together in solemn occasion to mark the 5th anniversary of COVID-19. A day of reflection, a day of remembrance and respect for the lives we've lost, the struggles we've faced, and the enduring strength of the families and communities affected by COVID." Mr. Swinney laid a wreath in remembrance, while a choir also performed on a warm day in Glasgow. Similar days of remembrance were taking place throughout the UK, and Mr. Swinney paid tribute to the 17,000 people who lost their lives to COVID-19 in Scotland in the 3 years from the start of the pandemic until the World Health Organization declared it to be no longer a public health concern in 2023. He said that number should serve as a reminder of the amount of families who suffered during the time when the virus was at its height. Speaking to the crowds in Glasgow Green, he said, "Thank you very much, Connie, and good afternoon, friends. It's an enormous privilege to be here as First Minister and to convey to everybody here the importance that I attach and the government attaches to ensure that we always remember those who lost their lives to COVID-19 and that we also remember the suffering and the sacrifices that affected every single individual in our country and in countless countries around the world at what was an incredibly frightening and alarming time for everybody. It's hard to comprehend that we are 5 years on from the pandemic, but the fact that we're 5 years on makes it more important than ever that we remember those who lost their lives at that moment. There's something particularly beautiful about today and the warm Glasgow sunshine, of us all being able to gather together and to support each other and have those quiet conversations that reflect the togetherness of all of us in our society. So many people lost their lives at the time of the pandemic. It was difficult and in some cases impossible at that time for people to be supported by others because of the restrictions that existed at that time. But here now, 5 years on, we're able to be together and we're able to share the memories and the thoughts and to understand the suffering that was experienced. The direct harm that was caused to people's health, to their well-being and to the impacts on so many aspects of our lives, whether in our public services, in our economy or in family life, the length and breadth of our country. By May 2023, when the World Health Organization declared that COVID-19 was no longer a public health emergency of international concern, COVID had been mentioned on the death certificates of over 17,000 people in Scotland. A staggering loss and a stark reminder of the terrible impact that COVID-19 has had on individuals and communities in this country. Earlier on this week, I joined with others from other political parties to mark the day of reflection in the Scottish Parliament. I'm grateful that so many bereaved families were able to join us in the public gallery on that occasion. In May 2020, the Herald asked when and how people would remember the events and cope with the loss. It led to the title launching a campaign to create a national memorial. A public fund was set up and a steering group established with several partners: Glasgow City Council, Green Space Scotland and Cruise Bereavement Care, along with Glasgow Minister the Reverend Neil Galbraith and the late Herald columnist Ali McLaws. The campaign received high-profile donations from the Scottish Government, from John Watson OBE, Sir Tom Hunter and Lord Willie Haughey. It was kick-started by a £5,000 donation from the Hillington-based Harry Clark Group in memory of Connie McCready's fiancé, and received a £10,000 donation from the Freemasons of Glasgow. In May 2022, the first phase of the memorial, designed and created by artist Alec Finlay, opened in Glasgow's Pollock Country Park, and it was completed in March of 2023. I Remember Scotland's COVID Memorial remains a place of solace, healing and hope for anyone affected by the pandemic. An article written by Mark McDougall. Glasgow Times, Politics, on Monday the 10th of March. Female MSPs reveal their fight against online abuse. An article written by Morgan Carmichael. Female MSPs have spoken out about the online abuse that they have suffered, as one Labour frontbencher revealed that she had been branded a poison dwarf, while a Tory said that she was told that she would be set alight. Labour's Pam Duncan-Glancy and Conservative MSP Annie Wells spoke out about the abuse, as Holyrood magazine found that almost all the MSPs it questioned had experienced some form of online abuse. It contacted all 59 sitting female MSPs and received responses from 22 of them between January the 29th and February the 25th this year. More than three-quarters of the MSPs who responded said that the abuse had become worse after they were first elected. Of those female MSPs standing again in the 2026 Holyrood election, about three-quarters said that they expected hateful content to increase between now and then. Opening up, Ms Duncan-Glancy said that the online abuse had been utterly relentless and that she'd been called a poison dwarf and a witch. The abuse also included rape threats, death threats and severe misogynistic abuse, the magazine said. Meanwhile, Conservative MSP Annie Wells told the magazine that she had been told that she would be set alight. Some MSPs even told Holyrood magazine that they had considered stepping down because of online abuse, with SNP MSP Elena Whittam, who is not standing next year, saying that the harassment had definitely played a big part in her decision. It comes after a pilot programme at Holyrood found that for 38 participating MSPs, 461 threats were received that were deemed serious enough to be passed to Police Scotland. On average, each MSP was on the receiving end of 12 abusive posts, which were reported to police in less than a year, it found. The pilot ran from mid-June of 2023 to the end of March 2024, and found abuse was generally focused on characteristics such as gender, sexual orientation and race. An article written by Morgan Carmichael. Glasgow Times, News, on Monday the 10th of March. Glasgow police crack down on illegal e-bikes. A front page article written by Nicole Mitchell. Action days by police have seen a decrease in the number of illegal e-bikes being used in the city centre, officers say. The Glasgow Times was given the opportunity to join city centre officers on Tuesday, March the 4th, as they work to tackle the use of illegal e-bikes and to ensure that cyclists are complying with the highway code. It comes after local residents have raised concerns regarding the speed of some of these e-bikes. PC Nathan Baxter, a community officer in the city centre, says it's a concern that they are taking seriously, with action plans being carried out once a week or every couple of weeks as resources allow. He said, "We're out and about. We're working on keeping the road network safe and keeping Glasgow a safer place for members of the public, residents, visitors and tourists who come to the city and enjoy the nighttime economy. In terms of being out and about on the roads network, we're working to improve the safety and hopefully over time through education and enforcement, we'll see a decrease in the use of illegal e-bikes and an increase in positive rider and driver behaviour within the town, complying with safety and the legal legislation that's out there and required on drivers to comply with. In order to be legal, e-bikes must not exceed 15.5 miles an hour or carry a motor that's greater than 250 watts. Any bike that has been modified to exceed that speed is illegal and would be classed as a Category A motor vehicle, meaning that it requires the driver to have a licence, helmet, insurance and lighting. If anyone is caught with an illegal e-bike, it will be seized by the police. The owner will then be issued with a seizure notice and has to pay a fee in order to get their bike back, and riders can also be reported for consideration of prosecution through the courts and the Procurator Fiscal. PC Baxter says that police have seen a reduction in the number of illegal e-bikes being used in the city centre, and there have been cases where people have had illegal modifications removed from their bikes after they were seized. He said, "We've noticed when we're stopping people and educating them and then bikes have been seized, they're taking on board that education and advice. We've noticed previously that when we've stopped bikes and the modifications have been fixed, and we've stopped them again a couple of weeks down the line and they've been open with us and said, 'I got my bike back and then got it fixed.' I wouldn't say there's been an overnight decrease, but certainly there's been a decrease in the amount of illegal bikes we're seeing on a regular basis in the town." While we were out in the city centre with the officers, one cyclist was stopped after they rode their bike through a red light near George Square. They were educated by officers for their own safety and that of others. Going through a red light is considered a traffic violation, and cyclists can be issued with a fixed penalty fine if caught by police. A short time later, another cyclist was stopped so that officers could make sure that their bike was legal. Officers checked what speeds the bike could reach. They found that the e-bike did not exceed 15.5 miles an hour, and the rider was allowed to go on their way. Some of the things that officers will look for is whether the speed of the e-bike is fluctuating when going up hills, or that the bike is travelling at speed without the rider pedalling. PC Baxter, who says he has a particular interest in road safety, says that police do encourage the safe use of legal e-bikes in the city centre, but safety is paramount for riders and other road users. He said, "We encourage people to be out and about and using the mode of transport that they see fit. If they're in the town and on the roads network, they need to comply with the highway code and the road traffic legislation that's in force. So we're looking at riders riding carefully, not riding in a dangerous manner, stopping for red traffic signals and also keeping themselves safe." He continued, "In terms of bikes themselves, we always encourage people to use a helmet. It's not a legal requirement, but a helmet is always better protection should you unfortunately become involved in a collision. In terms of legal e-bikes, we're out encouraging the use of legal e-bikes, but if we do come across illegal ones, then we're conducting enforcement action. Bikes will be seized under the relevant road traffic powers, and people will be reported for consideration of prosecution." The Glasgow Times has previously reported that the use of e-bikes is something that has been a concern for many people living and working in the city centre. In December, we revealed that 223 e-bikes were seized by police in the Greater Glasgow Division between October 2023 and September 2024. Since the 19th of December last year, 27 illegal e-bikes have been seized. We previously reported that some city centre residents said that they avoid areas such as Sauchiehall Street due to speeding cyclists. Following a discussion in August of 2023, residents called for e-bikes to be classified as motorised vehicles and for the bikes to have a registration plate. Legal e-bikes can be ridden anywhere that a person is permitted to ride a regular bike, including roads, cycle lanes and bridle paths, and they can be ridden on pavements that are designated for mixed cycle and pedestrian use. However, while e-scooters are legally available to purchase, it's against the law to ride a privately owned e-scooter in any public place. A front-page article written by Nicole Mitchell. Glasgow Times News. On Monday the 10th of March. Historic University of Glasgow building is at risk with an exclusion zone in place. An exclusive article written by Mark McDougall. A University of Glasgow boathouse on the banks of the River Clyde is under threat after suffering damage during the recent storms. The boathouse was built in 1924 and has housed the university's rowing team ever since, but they are currently not allowed to access the site. The East Boathouse is currently classed as being structurally unsafe, having taken more damage during Storm Éowyn, reports our sister title The Herald. A 5-metre exclusion zone has been put in place, but it does not affect any pedestrians or vehicles from going past. A structural survey was carried out after concerns were raised and advice was given to stop using the building until further notice. The university and the council are now working together in a bid to save the historic building. Boats and equipment which have been stored in the building have been removed to allow the rowing club to continue their season. A University of Glasgow spokesperson said, "The university boathouse was damaged by recent storms, meaning that we can no longer allow access to the building and an exclusion zone is currently in place. We have removed boats and equipment required by student societies for the remainder of the season, so that activities can continue while the building is closed." The Glasgow University Rowing Club was founded in 1867, and it was an all-male club until 2004, when it merged with the Ladies' Boat Club. An exclusive article written by Mark McDougall. Glasgow Times, on Monday the 10th of March. Lifestyle. I tried out Meghan Markle's recipes from her new Netflix show. An article written by Emilia Kettle. I tried out some of Meghan Markle's new recipes from her new Netflix show, and I'm afraid that I'm not a fan. This week, Meghan released her brand new lifestyle show, With Love, Meghan, onto the streaming service. Previously delayed due to the Los Angeles wildfires, the series sees Meghan show off her favourite recipes, crafts and home remedies, as she's joined by friends and professional chefs. The series is arguably catered to an American audience who love celebrity life advice and cooking shows, something which the Brits often turn their noses up to. Nevertheless, many Netflix account holders will be curious to see what advice and recipes Meghan has, myself included. So, like many fellow intrigued Brits, I hunted down a few recipes curated by the Duchess of Sussex and landed on her pasta salad and the questionable sun tea. After translating half of the ingredients from American terms to British terms, I headed down to the supermarket, got all I needed and got ready to cook like Meghan. And here's how it went. Starting with the pasta salad, Meghan, as any pro does, made it look super calm and easy, but that was clearly a Hollywood edit. The first step asked for an ice-cold bowl with ice cubes to shock the vegetables. Well, I had one tray of ice which did very little in effort, and that was my first hurdle. After cooking the peas for 30 seconds, I then moved them into the ice water as instructed. Well, that was easy enough. However, then came the Swiss chard, which I'll be honest I'd never heard of, so while hunting it down on the internet and visiting every supermarket near me that I could think of, I got nothing. So I went with another green leaf, the old faithful spinach, which is as close as I could get to the Swiss chard. Trust me, I tried to find it. After blanching the spinach, I dunked it in the not-so-iced water now, then moved on to the simple task of cooking the pasta. Megan's instruction says to add enough salt to the water so that it tastes of the sea. So I did just that, and not to spoil the end result, it ruined the meal. But before we get to that, I made the vinaigrette, which was simple enough: shallots, chili flakes and olive oil. To get the final result, I mixed everything together as instructed, served with some pasta and got ready to taste. Let me tell you, I've had bad pasta, but I've not had anything quite like this. All the elements should work well together, but there was something about the salt and the peas that just ruined the meal. It was like that there was too much. I would have preferred it if it was just the feta, peas and the vinaigrette, but the taste like the sea instruction ruined the meal. However, I think that if you took away the salt and focused on the greens and the feta, this could be a tasty meal, but as it is, it's a pass for me. When I saw there was a recipe for sun tea, I assumed that it was going to be a fruity mix, but nothing prepared me for what it really is. Megan makes her own mix of tea with dried hibiscus and dehydrated lemon wheels. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't have those sorts of ingredients in the kitchen. So I went to the shop, got a fruity tea blend, and trust me with this one, I brought a jar. Sun tea is when you put a tea bag in a jar of water and let it steep in the sun for 3 to 4 hours. Well, nothing would have prepared me for that. With my jar of tea ready, I set it on the windowsill where it brewed for 3 hours, and when it was ready, I tried it. It was awful. I thought it was overbrewed, so it lost flavour and was lukewarm. I just can't understand why anyone would honestly do this as a normal thing. Just stick to the proper way to brew tea, please. An article written by Emilia Kettle. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 10th of March. Private hire driver refused to take a guide dog in his vehicle. An article written by Sarah Hilly. A Glasgow private hire car driver refused to take a guide dog in his vehicle until he was threatened with being reported, a committee heard. Javed Iqbal told the customer that he had an allergy when he turned up for a pickup in November last year. While appearing before the city's Licensing and Regulatory Committee on Friday, Mr Iqbal said that the guide dog was not wearing a jacket at the time. Committee Chair Alex Wilson said that it didn't matter whether the dog had a jacket on or not. Councillor Wilson asked if Mr Iqbal could show documentation confirming that he was exempt from taking a guide dog due to his medical condition. Mr Iqbal replied that he did not have a certificate and stated that he no longer had the allergy. All cab drivers are legally required to transport assistance dogs in the UK unless they're issued with an exemption certificate. The incident was reported on at the time. Colin Hetherington, a director of Deaf Blind Scotland, said that he had spoken out against discrimination faced by the visually impaired after the cab driver initially refused to take him to a funeral. He had ordered a taxi to his Neilston home on Wednesday, the 20th of November, so that he could attend the funeral of 2 of the charity's clients. After the incident, he'd asked to see the driver's certificate of exemption, which he legally has to carry with him. Mr Iqbal was called to appear before the committee after a complaint was made to the taxi company and to the private hire enforcement unit. The committee heard that eventually he agreed to take the assistance animal after he was told that he would be reported over the matter. Councillors suspended his licence for a month, with Councillor Sean Ferguson dissenting. An article written by Sarah Hilly.
From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 11th of March 2025, from the news section. East Renfrewshire Primary School praised by inspectors. And this article was written by Anne Fotheringham. An East Renfrewshire school where children are happy, enthusiastic and confident has received a clean sweep of very good ratings from inspectors. St Joseph's Primary in Busby, which has around 340 pupils across 14 classes, received the impressive gradings for learning and teaching, equality and inclusion, raising attainment and achievement, and leadership of change. Head teacher Suzanne Martin was praised for her very strong leadership and direction, supported very well by by the deputy head teacher and principal teachers. The report said, together with all staff, they are highly ambitious for all children, and added that pupils at St Joseph's are successful and independent learners who are achieving important skills for learning, life and work. The inspector said, children are very proud of their school. Together, staff and children create a welcoming, nurturing, caring and inclusive ethos. This supports positive relationships and a strong sense of community. Children feel confident, secure and able to flourish as a result. The report also said, all staff work very well together as a team. They engage effectively with professional learning, research and reflect regularly on its impact on their practice. As a result, high quality learning and teaching are leading to very strong levels of attainment in literacy and numeracy. The inspectors recommended the school should continue to build on the highly effective practice in learning, teaching and assessment, and, as planned, continue to develop approaches to the tracking and monitoring of skills across the curriculum as areas for improvement. Ms Martin said, we are delighted with the outcome of our recent inspection, which has recognised the welcoming, nurturing, caring and inclusive ethos which makes St Joseph's such a wonderful school. The commitment and skill of our dedicated staff shines through in the report, with the inspectors highlighting that we are all highly ambitious for all our pupils. She added, it is a privilege to lead St Joseph's every day, and creating an environment which allows our children to be happy, enthusiastic and confident is at the heart of everything we do. I look forward to building on this report to continue to drive us forward to even greater achievements. And that article was by Anne Fotheringham. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 11th of March 2025. From the news section. Teen in court charged with murdering schoolboy Amin Tekli. And this article was written by Connor Gordon. A teenager has appeared in court charged with murdering a 15-year-old boy. The 14-year-old boy allegedly struck Amin Tekli with a knife in Glasgow's Maryhill on March the 5th, 2025. Court papers further state the 14-year-old boy and a 15-year-old boy face a separate assault charge. A further charge claims the 14-year-old accused of murder had possession of a knife in the city's Dumbarton Road 3 days before the killing. The 15-year-old is stated to have had a barrier pole at the same time or place. The two boys made no plea on March the 10th at a private hearing at Glasgow Sheriff Court. Lawyer Paul Sweeney represented one of the boys, while Tina McGreevy appeared for the other. The 14-year-old was remanded in custody while the other was granted bail by Sheriff Jonathan Guy. A vigil to Amin from Knightswood took place at the weekend. T-shirts were handed out which said, Forever Amin 15 on it. Others held red, white and blue balloons which were released into the sky. Amin's dad read a statement which said, I want to express my gratitude for your support. We are gathered in sorrow, mourning the tragic loss of my son, who was a proud member of this community. Despite the overwhelming sadness, we are comforted by the outpouring of love from friends, community, people of Glasgow and the police. Amin was a remarkable young man loved by everyone who knew him. This should not happen to anyone. This city is our home, and it is only through working together we can make it safe for everyone. This cycle of violence must be stopped. Please let us work together to ensure this does not happen again. And this article was by Connor Gordon. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 11th of March 2025. From the news section. 10 weeks of disruption as repairs close major Glasgow street. And this article was written by Amy Miles. A busy city centre road has been closed for over 3 months due to essential repairs. Drivers in the city centre have been warned to prepare for further disruptions as emergency water repairs are set to begin on Hope Street. The work started on January the 6th, 2025 and are expected to finish up on March the 16th. Hope Street has been reduced to one lane between West George Street and West Regent Street during this time. A right turn ban from Hope Street into West Regent Street is also in place during these works. Delays are expected, especially during peak times. And that article was by Amy Miles.
This is in the Glasgow Times on the 12th of March 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, Family of missing Celtic fan heading to Lanzarote in search of answers. This article was by Amy Miles. The family of a Celtic fan who vanished in Lanzarote 2 years ago are returning to the island in a bid to find answers. Gary Shearer's mum, Anne McMurray, and niece, Darcy Deeney, are set to travel to the Canary Islands for 2 weeks on Thursday, reports the Daily Record. Gary went missing on St Patrick's Day in 2023. Darcy told the Record, We just felt it was time. Deep down we knew he was never coming back, but it takes a long time to accept that. This is the only way we can try and get some sort of closure. We'll go across Lanzarote and the other islands. It's going to be a lot, but we just want justice for Gary. Our family deserves to know what happened to him. It's all up to us, so we just want as much publicity as possible to get Gary's name out there and make sure people on the island hear what our family has gone through. Gary arrived at the Oasis Apartments in Puerto del Carmen and sent his family a poolside photo. After securing some belongings in his hotel safe, he took €70 and headed out. At 5:30 p.m, he texted his mum saying he was going to bar 67. He wore a Celtic top, white shorts, white trainers, with blue and yellow trim, and a black man bag. CCTV later captured him unconscious in a doorway near the bar at 1:30 a.m. Concerned family members reported him missing when he failed to return for his flight to Scotland. Police found his passport, bank card, travel money, and diabetes medication in his hotel room, but his phone was never recovered or used again. Months later, Spanish police released footage of Gary walking with an unidentified man outside a spa shop. Despite investigations, the man was never identified. In June 2024, police closed the case, telling the Shearer family they had exhausted all leads. Darcy, who runs the Find Gary Shearer social media page, will be travelling to Lanzarote for the first time to see where her uncle went missing. She said, I think it's the only way his mum can cope and where she feels closest to Gary. The Shearer family were only recently able to clear out Gary's flat in Renfrew following a painful journey of grief. She added, Gary lived right opposite my nana, so they were very close, and she's had to face his home being in front of her window every day since this tragedy happened. It's been so difficult sorting out his affairs when authorities ask for records, but we literally have nothing to provide. All we know is that he is missing. We'd love to give him a send-off, but it just doesn't seem real when we still don't have any answers. This article was by Amy Miles. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 12th of March 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, Nicola Sturgeon to stand down as Glasgow MSP at next election. This article was by Stuart Patterson. Nicola Sturgeon has announced she will not seek re-election as an MSP next year. The former First Minister will bring to an end a parliamentary career that started with her election to the newly reconvened Scottish Parliament in 1999 as a Glasgow MSP. Sturgeon became Deputy First Minister to Alex Salmond in 2007 when the SNP won its first Holyrood election, and had been in government ever since, until she announced her resignation as First Minister in 2023. She served as First Minister and SNP leader between 2014 and 2023, overseeing a hugely successful election period at Holyrood and Westminster for the SNP. Sturgeon has been the SNP MSP for Glasgow Southside since 2011, and before that for Govan since 2007. She was a list MSP for the Glasgow region between 1999 and 2007. There has been speculation over her future as an MSP since she resigned as First Minister, and the police investigation into SNP finances, during which she was arrested for questioning before being released without charge in June 2023. Sturgeon has said she wants to embrace new opportunities. She is currently writing a book about her time in politics and is appearing at the Glasgow Comedy Festival with crime writer Val McDermid. This article was by Stuart Patterson. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 12th of March 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, "Police send warning to dog owners after rise in thefts." This article is by Matthew Evans. French bulldogs are now the most likely breed to be stolen in the UK, according to new police figures. This comes amid a report estimating that there were 1,808 dogs stolen in England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. 51 French bulldogs were stolen over the 12 months, an increase of 38% from 2023. This is according to a Freedom of Information request to UK police forces by Direct Line Pet Insurance. French bulldog owners therefore have been warned. The breed can cost up to £5,000 when bought from a reputable breeder, meaning criminals can secure large sums of money for these animals by selling them. Rottweilers saw the highest rise in thefts, a 180% year-on-year increase, followed by Border Collies, up from 5 stolen to 13, and Chihuahuas, rising from 14 thefts to 26. In contrast, thefts of XL bullies have dropped by 49% following the ban on the breed introduced in England and Wales last February. While the overall thefts figure is a 21% fall on 2023, only around 1 in 5 dogs, 19%, were returned to their owners last year, one of the lowest levels in a decade of tracking by Direct Line Pet Insurance. The Pet Abduction Act came into effect in May last year, making pet theft a criminal offence in England and Northern Ireland, punishable by up to 5 years in prison, a fine, or both. The reduction in thefts may be an early sign that the new law is having a positive impact, the insurer said. Over the past 10 years, 23,430 dogs have been reported stolen to the police, according to Freedom of Information requests, with 5,005, 21%, being returned. Overall, dog theft has declined by more than a fifth, 22%, in the past decade. Despite the decline in reported thefts, 61% of owners say they are worried about the possibility of their dog being stolen, with 40% saying they would only ever walk their dog on a lead, and 17% using a tracking device. Adam Bergen, head of Direct Line Pet Insurance, said, "As a nation of pet lovers, we hope to continue the downward trend in the number of stolen dogs. Our research over the last decade has shown dog theft is a persistent issue, and hopefully the Pet Abduction Act 2024 will encourage a change in criminal behaviour in the long term. Those who have fallen victim to dog theft will know the intense stress and trauma that comes with having their beloved pet snatched away from them, often with no closure on knowing what happened to a member of their family." Anne Maynard, whose female Jack Russell Mouse remains missing since she disappeared from Gerrards Cross Golf Course on December 3rd, 2023, said, "It's now over 15 months, but it feels like yesterday. We can remember that awful day so clearly. We can't seem to move on. Who would think that this tiny little soul would have such an impact on our lives? Every day we suffer from heartache, guilt, depression, and such a heavy sadness that never leaves us. It's the not knowing that makes us go over every scenario of what could have happened to her. We've had a huge poster campaign, sending out her picture right across the country, and we've set up our Facebook group, Help Find Missing Mouse, which we encourage people to join, as that one share could get our beautiful girl home to us. She's not sitting next to me, so she's out there somewhere. so a silent life sentence will never stop looking. Beverly Cuddy, editor of Dogs Today magazine and patron of Stolen and Missing Pets Alliance, said, "We've seen some amazing reunifications this year for dogs that have been gone for many years. Dogs never ever forget their people, and our video footage of them being reunited proves this. My heart aches for all those still waiting for that phone call that says their missing dog has been found. The market for stolen dogs is sadly still here, and we have a role to play to continue making it much harder for crooks to monetize our best friends as breeding slaves. It's important to regularly check your dog's microchip data and make sure details are correct. It's something so often forgotten." This article was by Matthew Evans. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 12th of March 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, "Residents demand demolition of abandoned Glasgow building." This article is by Amy Miles. Residents are demanding the demolition of an abandoned building. A petition has been launched calling for Glasgow City Council to knock down the old DSS building on Paisley Road West. The building has been vacant and in disrepair for a long time, with a London-based company refusing to demolish or secure it. Locals say the building is a safety hazard and an eyesore. The petition, which has 47 signatures, outlines several concerns associated with the building. These include structural risks, with reports of large bricks being thrown from the building, damaging cars and threatening public safety. The building has also become a hub for antisocial behaviour, including vandalism and graffiti. The petition states that the safety risks include structural risks and is a potential danger to the public, especially children who may attempt to enter it. Kids and adults are entering the building, and there have been reports of large bricks being flung on top of bus stops while members of the public are using the bus stop, and cars being damaged by large bricks being flung on top of them while being parked. Residents also argue that the building's deteriorating condition negatively impacts the neighbourhood's appearance, affecting community pride and potentially lowering property values. The petition further highlights the missed opportunity for community development, suggesting the site could be transformed into affordable housing, green spaces, or community centres. The residents have requested that Glasgow City Council begin the demolition process of the DSS building, consult with residents regarding the future use of the cleared site, and provide regular updates on the progress of these actions. The Hillington, Cardonald and Penilea Community Group on Facebook has shared the petition, urging its members to support the cause. The residents believe that the demolition of the DSS building would significantly improve the neighbourhood's safety, appearance and quality of life. They are urging the council to act swiftly and decisively on this matter. Glasgow City Council have said, "We are aware of the issue around this building and have been in discussions with a number of organisations for some time as we look to find a solution." This article is by Amy Miles. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 12th of March 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, "Road in Renfrew to shut for over 4 months from April." This article is by Aidan MacDonald. A road is set to close in Renfrew for over 4 months. Ferry Road will be shut from Monday, April 7th through Sunday, August 17th, to allow for Scottish Water to carry out sewer repair works. The disruption will be in place between Campbell Street and Meadowside Street / King's Inch Road. Alternative routes will be available via Station Road and Andrew Avenue. Councillor John Shaw, who is a representative for Renfrew North and Braehead, insists the work will be a major inconvenience for motorists. Writing on Facebook, he said, "Whilst this will undoubtedly be a major inconvenience for many in the town, it is going to be even more so if the City Deal team failed to get the link road between Inchinnan Road and Meadowside Street open before the Scottish Water closure. The City Deal team have known for months this closure was coming, but the continuing failure of their contractors to have the road ready is lamentable, and they are likely to have a massive effect on traffic in the town. We deserve better than this. I have this morning written to the Chief Executive of the Council asking that he do everything in his power to ensure the new link road is either open or an agreement is reached with Scottish Water on delaying the start of their works until the new road is fit to open, whenever that may be, and will report back when I have a response. This article was by Aidan MacDonald.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Q and Review and to tell your friends about our service.